Hey troops, welcome to the channel. Dit Commando here. My name is Ryan and I'm a former Royal Marine, and today we're going to be reacting to something that I've been wanting to react to for a long time now, guys. I'm really excited for this one. It's United States of America military actually has a zombie plan. Okay, so I'm guessing in the event of something that happens for a zombie apocalypse, they've got a way and a means of coping with that or something. I don't know, I've never watched it before. It's going to be good, guys. So let's just get straight into this one. Enjoy. I'll be in the comments, troops.
You wake up one day and groggily rub the sleep out of your eyes. After a few moments, you're alert enough to reach for your phone. Time to catch up on all the messages and Instagram likes and Facebook posts you missed during your sleep. Except your phone's not working. You have no service, and that should be impossible because you recently ditched T-Mobile. Shrugging, you reach for your laptop and flip it open, double-clicking on Firefox because Safari and Chrome are trash browsers. Oddly, Firefox refuses to load. You check your laptop's connectivity and, sure enough, no service again. Weird, you think to yourself as you throw on some pants and check on your desktop, which also has no internet connection. Now, edging to a full-blown first-world panic, you head downstairs to make sure Mom paid the internet bill. You find her there in the kitchen aimlessly mixing something. You can't quite tell what it is because she has her back turned to you, but you think you hear her slightly groaning? Hesitantly, you call out to your mother, whose body suddenly jerks as she turns around slowly, moving very stiffly. As she turns to face you, you're horrified to see her dead eyes staring at you, and with a growl of brains, she leaps for you. You make a run for it, rushing outside and fleeing for your life, but the neighbors spot you and take off running after you too. In seconds, you're being chased by a mob of zombified relatives and neighbors, and they're almost upon you when you turn the corner and suddenly hear, "Get down!" Instinctively, you duck down, and in front of you, a military patrol in Humvees opens up 50 caliber machine guns, chewing the zombies to pieces.
Okay, there's a part of me thinks that this would be actually pretty cool. Another part thinks it would be horrific, but you know, the days of what was that old zombie program called again? Oh, I can't remember what you call it. I used to absolutely love it, and it was just I don't know, man. I think it's in all of our back of our minds. If anything like this happened, what would you do? How would you overcome it and stuff? It would be brilliant, I think.
Overhead, you hear the roar of jets as 500-pound bombs are being dropped all over your former suburban neighborhood. Welcome to the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, buddy.
The previous scenario has been a staple of science fiction for decades, and stories of zombie apocalypses have thrilled and terrified generations of humanity. Yet for the United States military, the zombie apocalypse is no laughing matter, and they have a plan to stop it dead in its tracks. Pun fully intended. Contingency Plan 8888. The United States military regularly creates.
That is pretty cool, but you know, when you think about it, if they've got one, that obviously means they have a fear of something like this potentially happening, which doesn't really make us feel very confident, does it, guys?
Think tanks whose jobs are to envision future conflict or disaster scenarios and then draw up military and civil responses to address these threats. Throughout the years, American war planners have created plans for everything from nuclear war with the Soviet Union to an enemy invasion of the US mainland to responding to a massive asteroid or comet strike on planet Earth. Incredibly, the US military also has several contingency plans to combat an alien invasion, and that's no joke. These plans are highly secretive, as are the other contingency plans, and present military options to combat a variety of different alien invasion scenarios, at least to the best as our limited technology allows. Yet,
It makes you think, doesn't it? If they've got all these plans, what do they know that we don't?
one of these contingency plans is unclassified and has been public knowledge for years. That's Contingency Plan 8888. Originally, Con Plan 8888 was developed as a teaching tool for American military planners. It was meant to be a fun exercise that introduced new war planners to the complexities of developing realistic response plans to a variety of contingencies. Because of the threat of war plans being made public, the instructors behind the original Con Plan 8888 exercises wanted to use a completely fictional scenario, rather than using realistic scenarios with real nations that could be misconstrued in the public eye as an actual war plan. Because the US military actually has realistic contingency plans to counter an alien invasion, it was decided that zombies presented the best option for developing a practice war plan to allow students to learn the ins and outs of military planning. However, just because Con Plan 8888 was developed as a teaching exercise and not taken very seriously does not mean that it's a credible and fully functional plan. If zombies ever did kick off an apocalypse, Con Plan 8888 would be there to save the US from extinction. So what is Con
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a contingency plan. I mean, there's contingency plans for everything now in society. So the fact that America's got one for a zombie apocalypse, it doesn't really surprise me, to be fair. Does it surprise you? Let me know in the comments.
Plan 8888 involve? First, the plan addresses the threats from a variety of different types of zombies. First is the PZ, or pathogenic zombies. These are zombies who are created after a host is infected by a virus, bacteria, or other form of contagion. Next are RZs, or radiation zombies. These are zombies created by extreme exposure to electromagnetic and/or particle radiation. EMZs are evil magic zombies, or zombies created by an
Evil magic zombies. Oh, God, there's plenty of them knocking about the world at the moment, aren't there? Evil magic zombies.
evil occult force. SZs, or space zombies, are zombie life forms that originate from outer space or created by the toxic contamination of the Earth's environment by an extraterrestrial source. WZs, or weaponized zombies, are zombies that have been developed in a lab somewhere to be used as military weapon, perhaps deployed by a foreign adversary. SIZs are symbiont-induced zombies, or zombies who are created by the introduction of a symbiont life form into a healthy host. The symbiont keeps the host alive, but acting as its personal puppet. VZs, or vegetarian zombies, are zombies who do not feed on flesh, human or otherwise, but rather who feed on plant life, such as...
Right, this has got to be a joke. Vegetarian zombies, come on, guys. Right, that deserves a like. Hit the like button.
Zombies from the Plants vs. Zombies series of video games. These zombies pose just as great a threat to humanity due to their appetite for vegetation, which can cause massive deforestation and the destruction of food crops. Lastly, the plan addressed the threat posed by CZs, or chicken zombies, which are the only type of zombie that actually exist. These zombies are produced when chickens are improperly euthanized with carbon monoxide and left in a pile of bodies, only for the still living chicken to crawl its way out of the pile and walk around until organ failure kills it. Next, the plan moves on to discuss the effect of environment on both zombies and surviving human population. It notes that pathogenic zombies will be vulnerable to ultraviolet light thanks to the UV light's ability to impair the function of RNA, which comprises most viral life forms. Thanks to this sensitivity, pathogenic zombies are not expected to be active during noon or in bright sunny conditions, and will likely be active at night. Evil magic zombies, space zombies, vegetarian zombies, and weaponized zombies are believed to be immune to any extreme meteorological phenomenon except for...
How would you deal with a vegetarian zombie? Just like eat meat in front of it or something then? Is that like the best way to do it?
fires, floods, tornadoes, or tsunamis. For human survivors, the plan stresses the need for rainwater conservation, seeing as most public services will no longer be working. Also, groundwater or stream and river water is not recommended for drinking, as it will be unknown if it will be a vector for zombie infection. Humans who don't shelter in place in locations that protect from direct effect of air currents also run the risk of zombie infection if pathogen or zombification source is airborne. From here, the plan moves on to 5 phases of a response to a zombie outbreak. Upon news of the dead rising from their graves, or evil wizards creating zombie hordes, the US military will initiate Phase 0 of Con Plan 8888. The phase is also called Shape the Environment, and will focus on giving US warfighters as great warning time and strategic advantage against the zombie hordes as possible. Military and civil agencies will monitor disease vectors for possible zombification, identifying any ways that infection can spread, and taking precautionary measures. With constant monitoring, the US military will be ready once the outbreak reaches critical levels, or is unleashed in full inside North America. All military forces will engage in renewed hazmat training as well as nuclear bio.
Have you noticed, no matter what scenario we react to, it's somehow, somewhere, shape or form, always really, the military is always the greatest contingency plan, isn't it? No matter what happens, we always rely on our militaries. It scares me to think that the British military, which I was formerly a part of, the funding just doesn't exist nowhere near as much as it used to, guys. Okay, we've had a bit of an introduction of money, but I don't know, man. The military always seems to prevail in every scenario, whether it's environmental, whether it's humanitarian, whether it's war. The military always the people who sort things out.
Biological and chemical warfare training, already a routine part of U.S. military training. Phase 1, Deterrence, will begin upon receipt of a warn order or a warning order by U.S. Strategic Command. In a normal war plan, this phase of planning involves displays of military power so that foreign adversaries are deterred from hostile action. Because zombies cannot be reasoned with or intimidated, however, other forces which could further spread a zombie plague or aid in a zombie apocalypse, such as terrorist groups, adversary nations, and unethical bioresearch companies, are targeted instead. Phase 1 will see the U.S. military initiate large-scale training meant to show any would-be human collaborators that the U.S. military can still operate within a toxic and contaminated environment, hopefully deterring evil bioresearch companies or terrorists from aiding the zombie apocalypse. Phase 2, Seize the Initiative, will begin upon receipt of an alert order by U.S. Strategic Command. This will immediately initiate a complete recall of all military and reserve personnel, and the immediate implementation of all continuity of operations plans, or co-op plans as they're known, are meant to ensure that no matter what happens, all of the major military commands are able to continue functioning, as well as the civilian government. The plan will deploy all ground, naval, and airborne command and control nodes, with preparations to remain deployed for at minimum 35 days. This will ensure that the U.S. military remains in control of its forces no matter what happens next. U.S. Strategic Command will reach out to potential adversary nations, such as Russia and China, and inform them of preparation for counter-zombie operations, conducting confidence-building measures to ensure these nations don't believe the mobilization is using the zombie threat as a cover for military action against their own.
Yeah, it'd be hard to believe, really, wouldn't it? Like, hey, look, guys, we got a problem with zombies. The vegetarian zombies are on the way. Make sure you hide all of the meat because they're going to be very, very angry if they see you eating chicken nuggets and all of that kind of stuff.
Countries. The U.S. Air Force's Global Strike Command, in conjunction with assets from other services, will immediately generate forces for strike missions against zombie horde concentrations, not just here in the U.S., but abroad. The rest of the U.S. military will immediately begin fortifying civilian defense zones and enforcing quarantines where applicable. Phase 3, Dominance, will initiate a massive American military response against the zombie threat. Combat operations must be swift and completely eradicate zombie concentrations, as even a lone survivor can reignite a zombie outbreak. Cities and other major population centers may need to be indefinitely blockaded by military forces while the civilians are relocated to more remote areas. Phase 4, Stabilization, will begin no earlier than at least 40 days after the initiation of Phase 3 operations. U.S. military forces will begin initiating local reconnaissance operations in order to determine the strength of surviving zombie forces. They'll also locate isolated pockets of survivors and shepherd them to secure areas, as well as survey the status of basic civil services such as power, water, sewage, and lines of communication. Recon forces will also conduct surveys of the epidemiological security of the local environment, ascertaining if a lingering zombie infection threat is still remaining. Phase 5, Normalization, will see U.S. military forces aid in the re-establishment of civil authority. Commercial and civilian infrastructure will be repaired as best as possible, and the restoration.
So if the reintegration of reintegrating people into society, normalization, civil authority, and all of that needs to take place, does that mean that, although we live in a democracy, technically, if all else fails and the military is the ones who are sorting it out, does that mean that the likes of the United States would be living in a military-run democracy? That's worth thinking about, isn't it? If this kind of scenario did happen, government wouldn't really be run the country; it would be the military, and they'd be run off the military's command. So, yeah, I suppose the commander-in-chief is the president, so it would still be government, but, the government would break down to a large degree, and the military would just be controlling all of the decision-makings on this.
Restoration of functioning civil services will be a top priority. Con Plan 8888 aims to prepare the U.S. military to stop a zombie apocalypse dead in its tracks, and highlights the specific actions that local forces need to take in order to ensure their survival and the continued ability to fight back against the zombie hordes. The plan does highlight some current strategic limitations, however, such as a lack of dedicated counter-zombie military task force. There's also the difficulty in ensuring a zombie is truly neutralized, though the plan does recommend that military forces burn all the bodies thoroughly. Other strategic limitations include the inability to maintain airborne command posts in the air past a week. This is because while in-flight refueling could keep airborne command posts operational for a month, or perhaps even more if needed, the airfields that support the tankers, which would fuel these aircraft, would likely be overrun by zombies very quickly. There are also serious defensive deficiencies for many of the nation's ground-based command and control nodes, as few command and control nodes within the United States are hardened facilities capable of withstanding a relentless horde of zombies. Conplan 8888 recommends that facilities maintain a stockpile of lumber and train their personnel how to weld, so they can better secure their facilities against outside intrusion. Lastly, the plan warns that there is little useful scientific data to be used by the US military to counter a zombie threat, and war planners may need to turn to popular media for inspiration on destroying the Walking Dead. There's also a dire warning within Conplan 8888 that of all the different types of zombies that the US military may have to face, evil magic zombies may prove to be the most difficult to defeat, as they're animated by evil magic. The plan suggests the recruitment of the Chaplain Corps to combat this threat.
Right, guys, and I think we're going to leave it on there. The religious magic zombie. Yeah. Right, guys, a lot of hypothetical situations in that, but I enjoyed that one nonetheless. USA military actually has a zombie plan. Yeah, I think the terminology of that is exaggerated slightly, but I think it would be pretty cool to, obviously I wouldn't want to see it really, but it would be cool, you know, in some ways. If you think it would be cool if a zombie apocalypse actually happened, what would you do? How would you do it? And why would you do it? I think America would be one of the best places to have a zombie apocalypse in, because you've got all the weapons, the guns, the bunkers, you know, people would come together, the community spirit, it would be gangs, it would be, I don't know, I think it would be good to do it in America of all countries, guys. But if you like this one, drop a like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, troops. Peace.